The Last of Us 2 is worse than you think, czyli tłumacząc na polski The Last of Us 2 jest gorsze niż myślicie. Ten film idealnie podkreśla, jak ta gra jest zła pod prawie z każdym względem. I oglądając ten film, zdaję sobie sprawę z tego, jak sam zapomniałem o wielu rzeczach, które sprawiają, że The Last of Us 2 jest gorsze niż nawet ja myślałem, że jest. Myślałem o tym, czy by tego filmu nie obejrzeć na nagraniu, wiecie, że obejrzałbym ten film sobie na nagraniu, skomentowałbym to, co jest autor mówi, sam by coś dodał od siebie. Wiadomo, film jest po angielsku, no ale myślę, że każdy z nas zna angielski, więc to chyba nie będzie jakiś wielki problem. Mam nadzieję, że z tłumy jakoś nie będą wiele składać. I zależnie od tego, czy się wyrobię, czy nie, film będzie podzielony na dwie części. Również tutaj proszę bardzo, już pokazuję wam, jak się ten film nazywa, żeby nie było, żeby YouTube nie robił jakichś problemów, tak, że komentuję coś, że po prostu odtwarzam coś, co nie jest moje. Ja ten film tylko i wyłącznie komentuję jak coś. Tutaj proszę bardzo, macie nazwę tego filmu, jaki to jest film, więc mam więc to bez problemu znajdziecie, tak? Wystarczy tylko wpisacie The Last of Us 2 i rozdaję film i możecie to sobie sami obejrzeć bez mojego komentarza. Autor to jest oczywiście Zaid Magenta, więc mam nadzieję, że wszystko jest jasne. Lecimy, bo film jest naprawdę długi, ale ja specjalnie użyję przyspieszenia, żeby nie trwał to aż tak długo. Więc ja specjalnie użyję przyspieszenia. Proszę bardzo. Tutaj na wstępie gość pokazuje nam jedną z najbardziej głupich scen The Last of Us 2, która to niby miała przyczynić się do tego, że będziemy spłytać Abby i będziemy chcieli, żeby Abby oczywiście, no będziemy w stanie zrozumieć Abby, tak, dlaczego ona zabija Joela. Powiem tak, na głupich Polaków może to i zadziałało, ale na szczęście, z tego zauważyłem, na szczęście, zagraniczna społeczność jest o wiele bardziej mądra niż ta polska, no bo co? Polska społeczność, jak zareagowała polska społeczność, gdy powiedziałem coś złego o The Last of Us 2? No wystarczy tylko spojrzeć na to, jak niektóre osoby odpowiadały mi pod filmem Cyta Kultura, które stawały w obronie Eli, mimo tego, że nie ma jak obronić Eli, tak samo nie ma jak obronić The Last of Us 2, ale i tak dwie, a nawet trzy osoby były na tyle głupie, żeby stawać w obronie The Last of Us 2. I nie tylko te osoby, takich osób jest o wiele więcej. Natomiast amerykańska społeczność zagraniczna pod względem na szczęście jest o wiele mądrzejsza. Ja już wiem chyba, że...
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's small...
Ja już chyba wiem, że ludzie, którzy przyczynili się do tego, że The Last of Us 2 zostało grą roku, to chyba głównie byli Polacy niestety.
violin.
The Last of Us is one of those video games where the experience is driven by the story over its gameplay. The way it subtly builds both the world and its characters was genuinely interesting, and something that really hooks you in and motivates you to keep playing. The narrative that surrounded Joel's struggle for survival in this post-apocalyptic world is not what I consider a masterpiece of storytelling, but it still does a pretty good job showing you the narrative prowess that Naughty Dog is known for. It has a very interesting setting that shows how desperate people are to survive in this world, showing the steps they take and the new roles they practice to ensure survival. We see how hopeless things in this world are, but we also see glimmers of hope with people making an effort to rebuild civilization. But there's also a lot of danger lurking.
Okej, na początku tutaj opisuję pierwszą część The Last of Us 1, o tym jak tutaj ogólnie historia Joela była naprawdę ciekawa, jak faktycznie była wzruszająca, mogła poruszyć, no i to jest jak najbardziej prawda, to co on tutaj mówi, że The Last of Us 1 jest akurat jedną z tych lepszych gier, lecz niestety The Last of Us 2 tak ogólnie zniszczyło tą serię, że już nawet nie mogę sobie obejrzeć The Last of Us 1 i nie czuć pewnego rodzaju obrzydzenia, gdy patrzę na Eli, gdy sobie pomyślę o tym, to potem odpierdala Eli w The Last of Us 2. A Joel to mi straci szkoda.
In every corner. It explores both the best and the worst of human nature in a world where morality is no longer present and it's kill or be killed. And yet, it still takes time to let people become familiar with its setting and cast in order to develop relationships with people who are worth protecting. I'm gonna be honest and say that if it wasn't for the storytelling of The Last of Us, I would have instantly dismissed it as another mediocre and boring third-person shooter, as a lot of its game elements have really not held up. The horrendous enemy AI, repetitive stealth, illogical item management, clunky swimming controls, unremarkable melee combat, the linear design of many of the areas, there's a lot of things about it that really didn't age gracefully. And yet, for some reason, people still find themselves...
Tak, tutaj właśnie gość mówi o tym, że historia była tym najważniejszym punktem, który przyczynił się do tego, że The Last of Us 1 naprawdę był zajebistą grą i tutaj jak najbardziej się zgadzam. Historia oparta w The Last of Us 1 jest najlepszą częścią tej gry zdecydowanie. Nie gameplay, nie inne tego typu, tylko właśnie historia i właściwie historia, fabuła, TZ zawsze powinny być zawiedzione w grach i to właśnie TZ, jak historia, fabuła, postacie, TZ powinny decydować o tym, czy gra jest dobra, czy nie, a nie dobry gameplay, bądź to jest dobra grafika.
Revisiting this game from time to time. Maybe it was the realism of people trying to survive in a world overrun by an infection followed by the collapse of civilization. Maybe it was the exploration of getting to see what life on Earth would be like after humans, with all sorts of vegetation and plant life overgrowing what was once thriving cities. Maybe it was just that desire to delve into that grayness of human nature, exploring what people are willing to do to survive. But I think what truly made this game work so well was how the story developed Joel as a character and his relationship with Ellie. The story of Joel Miller isn't anything new. A father who goes through a tragic loss but finds hope in his relationship with a stranger who ends up becoming family to him, as he struggles to survive in this harsh, unforgiving world. But it's told in a really massive and personal way that manages to leave an impact on the player. He's never portrayed as either a saint with a heart of gold or an unempathetic monster, just a person being driven to do bad things to survive. But as you go through the game, pieces of Joel's humanity begin to shine through more and more. And near the end of it, we see him trying to hold on to that humanity, even as he has to keep making those most decisions that question his morality, and nowhere is that conveyed more clearly than in his strong bond with Ellie throughout the experience. The surrogate father and daughter relationship between them is one of the most captivating that video games have hosted in recent years. There's a lot of examples that I can point to that support how well written this relationship is, but the two that I would go with most is the argument in Tony's ranch and when Joel comforts Ellie after she kills David. The argument details how deeply both Ellie and Joel have been affected by the apocalypse and the survivor's guilt they had to deal with over the years, with Ellie explaining how hurt she feels that Joel wants to get rid of her but relies on him for moral support, and Joel trying to distance himself out of fear from being hurt from the loss of a second daughter. It's an argument that delves into the difficulties they both have opening themselves up to other people, knowing they could be taken away at any time, and it comes full circle in the scene where Joel tries calming Ellie after she kills David. And the reason that it comes full circle is that we finally see how emotionally vulnerable both of them are, and how they've deeply grown to care about each other. Throughout the game, Ellie was trying to make herself out to be tougher than she actually is. She was capable, witty, sarcastic, and she swore a lot to come across as tough, but she always acted tough when someone else was around. And now she's in a situation where she's truly all by herself trying to survive, and her dark encounter with David has revealed to her just how unforgiving, sinister, and horrifying the world can be, further amplifying her fears of losing Joel as well as her own life. And when Joel finally finds and comforts her, she breaks down realizing the fullest extent of the horrors that Joel had to go through for the last 20 years, and she'll never be the same again because of it. But in that same moment of darkness, Joel gives her a glimmer of light through the way he comforts her, trying to calm her nerves and ensuring her he would keep her safe. And for the first time in 20 years, Joel was truly afraid of losing something, and he felt legitimately worried for Ellie. He grew to care for her as his own, and even
Tak, tutaj opis tej sceny, kiedy David był już za tyle posrany, że chciał wręcz Ellie zgwałcić, zabić. No to była ogólnie jedna z takich mocniejszych scen w The Last of Us 1. Może kiedyś byłem wzruszony tym faktem i naprawdę był mi skład Ellie. W tym momencie stwierdziłbym, nie, w tym momencie bym nic nie czuł tak naprawdę, oglądając to scenę po raz kolejny, bo Ellie ja tak nienawidzę.
calls her baby girl when trying to ease her stress, something that he only ever did for Sarah. When you look at these two scenes back to back, it really helps to explain what made the relationship between Joel and Ellie resonate so strongly with people. They show how human they are, how headstrong but vulnerable they are. They're not just a formulaic surrogate father and daughter. They're both fully realized characters, and it's their story that we follow throughout the game. Joel struggling to survive while looking for a reason to keep going, and Ellie trying to set things right for the world so that all the hardships and losses she went through would mean something. It's one of those very few times where it makes the rather mediocre gameplay worth it because the reward that you get for interacting with it
Teraz mamy omawianie motywacji Joela i Ellie. Natomiast jeszcze no, nie muzyka z takiego automatyzm, tak? No, mam nadzieję, że mniej więcej rozumiecie.
is so captivating. For all of its flaws, The Last of Us is something that's really worth experiencing at least once, because it's something that explores what it means to be human in an intrinsic
Może w sumie trochę podgłośnie. Okej. Ja trochę podgłośnię i może po prostu, gdy będę chciał coś sam powiedzieć, to będę zatrzymywał film.
way. And it's why so many people find themselves talking about it over 5 years later, because its story is timeless. One that you can experience at any point in your life and still find it relatable. One that explores loss, redemption, relationships between people, and struggling with your humanity in a way that not a lot of games do. And for that, The Last of Us is a very special game that has really earned its reputation as one of the most beloved of all time. And I bring this up because I think it's important for people to know why people love the first game before we talk about the atrocious.
Dokładnie, dokładnie. Tutaj powiedział on ogólnie o tym, że The Last of Us 1 było o odkupieniu, o wybaczeniu, o tego typu rzeczach i to właśnie przyczyniło się do tego, że była to naprawdę bardzo dobrze przyjęta gra. Święta prawda, święte słowa, dobrze powiedziane. Oczywiście wiadomo, Polecki pod czysta kultura spierdoliłeś do tego, że ten koleś to się tak wielce wyzywał na tym The Last of Us 2 biednym. Tracę wiarę w polską społeczność, gdy widzę tych fanboyów, którzy stają w obronie The Last of Us 2 i te fangirls też.
Story of its sequel.
Joel, please get up!
See, there's a sequel. Wasn't as good.
I can
Dokładnie, Joel, dokładnie tak.
already tell there's a bunch of people watching this and going, oh, but you can't review this game if you didn't buy it and test out the gameplay. Now, while it is true that I haven't tested out the gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2, I did.
To jest jeden z argumentów od Polaków, który kiedyś dostałem chyba. Serio, chyba kiedyś naprawdę jeden taki Polacek mi napisał, że ty nie grałeś do nas, ty weź tej gry nie oceniaj negatywnie.
Take the time to watch the cutscenes. And considering that The Last of Us was a game driven solely by its story, I think it's a safe bet that I can use that to determine how thoroughly disgusting and offensive this game is and why it deserves to be hated by everyone. The Last of Us Part 2 is the most emotionally
Oj tak, dokładnie, ta gra zdecydowanie zasługuje na to, żeby absolutnie każdy jej nienawidził.
manipulative, poorly paced, terribly written, retcon-infested, plot-contrived, character assassinating, ass-pulling, and disrespectful continuation of a beloved series that disregards everything people loved about the original that I've ever had the misfortune of experiencing. And I sat through the Star Wars sequel trilogy. It's an ungodly mess of a plot that actively goes against good character and storytelling for the sake of meeting a feminist social justice warrior agenda, much like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And today we're here to talk about why. So let's take a look at this abortion of the video game and find out how The Last of Us Part 2 is worse than you think.
Tytuł naprawdę idealnie oddaje myśli, które można mieć po obejrzeniu tego filmu, ponieważ naprawdę ja po obejrzeniu tego filmu zdaję sobie sprawę z The Last of Us 2 i to jest gorsze niż myślałem. Dalej nie jest tak złe jak Trkoros, ale to jest drugie miejsce, najgorszy gier ever. Naprawdę, ja z dwojga złego, ja wolę Wilde Sańce, ja wolę rajdy na Berlin niż takie gierki jak The Last of Us 2. Co z tego, że The Last of Us 2 ma dobrą grafikę, albo dobry gameplay, co z tego? Jak fabuła jest totalnie zjebana, już wolę kuźwa te gry jak Ride na Berlin, bo przynajmniej tam fabuła nie jest totalnie lewicowa. Taka toksycznie lewicowa.
When the game was leaked and information on the plot was revealed, there wasn't too much to go on except some cutscenes and pinpoints on the plot. And while the leaks were legit, there was still the distinction that there was more to it than what was shown. And perhaps it won't be so bad when the game actually comes out. Well, it's out now, and the content is so much worse when you get the full context. First, let's talk about Joel. The way his character is actually killed off is so disrespectful and badly rushed that you get the sensation that Druckmann just wanted to get rid of him as quickly as possible for the sake of this horrible revenge plot. Now,
Tutaj on mówi teraz o tym, że sposób, w jaki Joel został zabity, to jest totalny brak szacunku wobec tego bohatera i również, że Naughty Dog chcieli się go pozbyć najszybciej jak to możliwe. Święta prawda, dobrze powiedziane.
here's the thing, Joel dying is completely expected. I'm sure a lot of people thought he was going to die in this game, and Joel dying by itself isn't a bad idea. idea. You can kill him, but it has to be done in a meaningful way or one that enhances the story. Maybe he heroically sacrifices himself to save Ellie. Maybe he starts to get into old age and his health starts to fail, and Ellie is desperately trying to keep him alive. Something that gives proper respect to a character that a lot of people cared about. Nope, he's just arbitrarily killed off in literally the first 2 hours by some random trans figure we're supposed to care about. When I heard about Joel dying, I was kind of expecting it to happen like halfway through the game or maybe a third into
Random transfigure. No, ja bym nie powiedział, że Abby jest transem akurat. Nic na to kompletnie nie wskazuje. No ale to jak ona wygląda, to jest po prostu tragedia.
the game. But no, they kill him in literally the first 2 hours. Killing him this early in such a half-assed way by the hands of a nobody that the audience has no connection with is not exactly what I call respectful. And the way he dies doesn't even make any sense. In the first game, Joel was an extremely cautious survivor. He could tell when someone was being deceitful, like those raiders in the city. He was extremely careful with who he gave his trust to, especially to complete strangers. On top of that, Joel and Tommy were really careful to not just give out their names to random people that they come across. Ellie says in the prologue that they had to take a lot of precautions to survive after the outbreak. You'd think that keeping their real names a secret would be one of those things. Given what we saw in the first game, Joel wouldn't just trust these random strangers so easily. He'd at least be a little bit suspicious of them. But no, apparently the guy whose motto in the original game was to not trust total strangers is now trusting total strangers by telling him his name and where he lives. This is really out of character for Joel.
To jest to, co ja mówiłem. To jest akurat to, co ja mówiłem w moim pierwszym odcinku z Brostanielski Spowiedz na gry pamiętam i również gdy omawiałem The Last of Us 2 po raz drugi, z OL z jedynki, on nigdy tak po prostu nie zaufałby byle komu. Nigdy nie zaufałby jakiejś nieznajomej osobie, nigdy nie podałby tej osobie swojego imienia. To jest to, co ja mówiłem, no i tutaj również gość też dodał to od siebie. No i tak jest, no kurwa, Joel w The Last of Us 1 był ostrożny, on nie ufał nieznajomym. Jak tutaj w The Last of Us 2, tak po prostu ratował jakąś obcą kobietę i je zaufał i przez to on zginął.
And it's even more insulting that this is exactly what gets him killed. And on top of that, it's a really long stretch when you consider the fact that Joel has been a hardened survivor for 25 years. This guy trained himself to be cautious of things like traps, ambushes, and situations exactly like this for decades.
No właśnie, gość był survivalistą przez 25 lat. To jest nawet gorsze niż to, co Deltel zrobiło z Kenim.
He was a badass veteran who could take on groups of thugs and zombies, using his wits and his smarts to survive most situations. And this is how he's supposed to go out, like a worthless nobody who's easily duped by a group of kids? That's just lazy. Who in their right mind decided that this would be a meaningful way to handle Joel's death, offing him in literally the first 2 hours in a way that completely disservices his character, and rushing through it just so he can be tossed into the trash heap and forgotten about. And what makes it so disgusting is that it turns Joel into a shitty plot device. Not a character that people cared about in the first game. There's no meaning behind his death or how he gets killed. And there's no connection between him and Abby as characters. She's just a random woman who he doesn't know who just decides to kill him without an explanation. The least they could have done was have Joel put up some kind of fight. A last stand where he takes some of them down before Abby does him in. Something that shows how he's the same hardened veteran you controlled in the first game. Instead he just lets his guard down like an idiot, gets shot in the kneecaps, and beaten to death with a golf club without fighting back. He doesn't get any meaningful final words, he doesn't get a chance to talk to Ellie before he dies. He doesn't even get to have a scene with her before getting killed. It's one thing to kill Joel, but the way they actually kill him off leaves you feeling absolutely nothing. The circumstances surrounding it are so...
Popieram, ale dlaczego zabili Joela w taki sposób? Dlatego, ponieważ chcieli pokazać, jaka to Abby jest silna i niezależna. Jaka jest silna i niezależna kobieta, że była w stanie z całym shotguna powalić ciemskiego wacta. No to właśnie chcieli pokazać, jak to Abby jest zajebista. Robią coś takiego ogólnie. Cała ta gra to jest faworyzowanie Abby, tak naprawdę.
Painfully contrived, and the pacing is so horribly rushed that it just feels worthless. Joel is simply not a character in this game. He's literally a plot device for motivating Ellie's revenge. And if that's not enough to convince you, take a look at this scene. Yeah, remember the one where Joel follows Ellie into the wilderness and tells her you think I'd let you do this on your own? Well, fuck you, because in the actual game, it's some other dude who follows Ellie into the wilderness, and he's the one who asked that to Ellie. They literally lied to you about him playing an important role in the story just for the sake of subverting your expectation.
Oj właśnie, to jest coś, o czym zapomniałem. Pamiętałem o tym kiedyś, ale zapomniałem o tym, że Naughty Dog byli na tyle bezcelni, żeby w trailerze bezcelnie kłamać, że w tej scenie to się pojawi Joel za Ellie, a tak naprawdę to był Jesse, nie? To jest po prostu, to jest tragedia, co oni zrobili. Jak to... Tutaj ten film idealnie przedstawia, daje wam dowody na to, że Naughty Dog to ścierwa są. I że ja mam całkowitą rację co do Naughty Dog, to ścierwa. Nawet jest to gorsze ścierwa niż za jakiej uważałem.
Yeah, because it worked so well when Ryan Johnson did it, and this actually feeds into a huge middle finger that this game pulls off. The way it was marketed, everything about every single trailer was used to advertise this game in a way that was very specific to deceive you and lie to you about what it was actually going to focus on. Remember the trailer that got everyone hyped, where Joel asks Ellie if she's really going to go through with this? Remember all the trailers that showed Ellie in a relationship with Dina before showing trailers where they make it look like she's the one who's going to get killed and Ellie's going to avenge her death? And with all the trailers they put out, did you ever notice how suspiciously they tried to hide?
Tego nie wiedziałem wcześniej, że tutaj jakby zmanipulowali ludźmi, że to pierwotnie Dina miała umrzeć, a Joel nie. No kurwa, jakby Dina umarła, to ta gra byłaby 100 razy lepsza, no bo Dina jest zjebana, nienawidzę Diny, to jest kolejna spierdolona postać. Akurat on Dinie za wiele nie wspominał, no ale Dina też się przydało chociaż powiedzieć o Dinie. Też ona jest głupia, wkurwiająca, tak samo jak Ellie, taka głupia, durna, toksyczna, stereotypowa lesbijka, przenocona w stylu lesbijką.
Abby's portion of the campaign, yeah, there's that one trailer where everyone thought she was Ellie's mom for I have no idea. But aside from that, the way Naughty Dog advertised this
No serio, niektórzy myśleli, że Abby to jest matka Ellie, naprawdę. No to się chyba pomylili.
game was thoroughly and completely dishonest. They actively lied to people about what this game was really going to be about. Joel playing an important role in the story was a lie. Expanding on the relationship between him and Ellie was a lie. Abby not being the new protagonist was a lie. Dina being the one who dies in the prologue.
Tak, się też dowiedziałem o tym, że oni bezcelnie kłamali na ten temat. Jest sens, że Ellie to będzie jedyna główna bohaterka, że tylko Ellie będziemy grać. Główna prawda, bo na bazie tego gramy z Elem, a później jeszcze musimy tą zjebaną Abby grać, więc proszę bardzo, kolejne kłamstwo Naughty Dog wyszło na jaw. Proszę bardzo, widzicie sami, jacy to są manipulanci, kłamcy, oszuści, ci Naughty Dog? A jest to kurwa Polacki, bezcelne Polacki, mają celność stawać w obronie tych ścierw, ja pierdolę. Naprawdę, oglądając teraz to was dwa u Sarza, ja myślałem, że oglądam zupełnie innego youtubera, bo Sarz, on kurwa łyknął to ścierwo, on łyknął to, co Naughty Dog chcieli mi wskazać. To jest klamikowe, tak samo T-Volt, ja pierdolę, T-Volt też kurwa twierdził, o teraz to was dwa jest fajne. Ja zero, oglądając u nich te gameplay, ja myślałem, że Sart i Keyboard to są zupełnie inne osoby w trakcie grania w The Last of Us 2. W trakcie nagrywania tej gry. Jakby im całkowicie odjebało.
Was a lie, and to make up such lies about Joel's presence in the game and how the plot revolves around his death just feels really dirty. They had to have known that.
O, Judy kolejny test, kurwa, The Last of Us 2 nagryła i wychwała tę grę. Ja naprawdę oglądając u nich The Last of Us 2 zastanawiałem się, co się kurwa odjebało z moimi ulubionymi youtuberami.
The actual plot was gonna piss people off. Why else do you think they try to hide it? They literally tried to trick you into selling shit, and whoever leaked the fucking thing actually did a service to the public. Again, it's not that Joel dies at all, it's how he dies, and how it completely depraves him of his character and cheapens his relationship with Ellie. He literally exists just to be killed and drive Ellie's petty motivation for revenge. And any apparent.
No właśnie, zginął w najbardziej założony sposób i służył jako plot device, tak? Żeby Ellie chciała go pomścić. Jest to, żeby Ellie jakokolwiek dobarł rację do Elemnia, ale nie. W momencie, gdy ona się dowiedziała o tym, że Joel tam ją okłamał na temat tych świetlików, to ona strzeliła na niego chwoka i była tak na niego obrażona aż do jego śmierci, więc naprawdę współczuję Joelowi. Naprawdę współczuję Joelowi, że tak skończył. To jest jedna ogólnie z najbardziej tragicznych postaci, która zasłużyła na o wiele więcej, a nie na coś takiego. Masakra po prostu jakaś. To jest chore, ja pierdolę. Ja to oczywiście rozumiem, że każdy może mieć swoją opinię, ale jedna rzecz to jest lubienie jakiejś gry, tak po prostu sobie, a druga rzecz to jest lubienie fałszywego ścierwa, jakim jest The Last of Us 2. Co innego mieć swoją opinię, a co innego lubić coś, na co wszystkie fakty wskazują, że jest złe. The Last of Us 2 jest złe.
Makes in flashbacks don't matter because they don't resonate with this plot. This story was said to be done in a way that pays great respect to Joel and Ellie, but I don't see anything respectable about what happens.
We care about this story more than anybody. Jakoś The Last of Us 2 tego nie pokazuje, że was obchodzi historia.
To either of them in this game, with Joel getting killed off in the first 2 hours by some nobody, and then have that nobody be the new protagonist that you control while brutalizing Ellie. Is this really what you actually want out of a sequel for the story of the first game? To see the two characters that you were meant to care about and sympathize with being turned into the villains, while glorifying this freak of nature as sympathetic? Fucking insulting. The Last of Us was about Joel and Ellie. It was about their hardships and their struggles to.
No, sam fakt, że dali jakąś Abby, jako nową postać, która to ma przedstawić inną perspektywę, ma sprawić, żebyśmy nienawidzili Ellie i Joela, no to coś, naprawdę to było chujowe z jakiejś strony. Ja to powiem tak, udało im się doprowadzić do tego, że nienawidzę Ellie, ale Joela zawsze lubiłem i zawsze go będę lubił, zawsze go będę kochał jako postać. Joel był zajebisty.
Out of it as better people, and now you're making it about some shitty revenge narrative where you have to play as the character who brutally murders Joel and beat the shit out of Ellie and her pregnant girlfriend. And we'll get into more of that later. But for now, I just want to ask, what the fuck did you do to Ellie in this game?
No właśnie. I to co mi się podoba, on opierdzieli Ellie za to wszystko, za co ja jej nienawidzę. No poza tym, że jest toksyczną lesbijką, ale tak poza tym to opierdzieli Ellie za wszystko, za co ja jej nienawidzę. I to też mi się w tym filmie podoba akurat.
Ellie in the first game was a great and lovable character. One of the reasons why people loved the first game so much was because it was their goal to keep her safe, and her development.
Posłuchajcie go, bo to co on teraz mówi, to są moje słowa, tyle co po angielsku.
Made accomplishing that goal a satisfying experience. She was funny, witty, a smart aleck with a smart mouth, curious, upbeat, sweet, and adorable. And she was also just as human as Joel with moments of fear and weakness. She had a fun and likable personality that made you want to spend time with her. But in this game, you just feel really, and I mean really, uncomfortable around Ellie. All of her personality has been completely stripped away, turning her into a revenge-obsessed idiot. She acts like the biggest edgelord throughout this entire game, and it's not fun to control.
Dokładnie to, co mówiłem, że stała się egoistyczną psychopatką, która w głowie ma tylko zemstę.
A character with such a bleak and shallow personality. And if you want to say that this is a legitimate reaction from someone who saw a loved one getting brutally murdered, that doesn't justify Ellie's character being so unlikable. I mean, it's one thing to want to avenge Joel's death, but she just goes on a blind murderous rampage. Every scene with Ellie in this game, her extremely aggressive behavior, every line of dialogue that comes out of her mouth, she's a goddamn psychotic. I mean, holy shit, none of the stuff Joel did in the first game was even remotely.
No właśnie, przecież kurwa pierdolę, można usprawiedliwić jakąś zemstę i to, co kieruje daną postacią, dając jej jakieś ludzkie cechy, które lepiej o tym świadczą. I dopiero co nagrywałem wideo o Aishi. Aishi jest postacią z bajki, a mimo to jest o wiele lepiej napisaną, 100 razy lepiej jest napisaną postacią niż Ellie z The Last of Us 2, a mimo tego jest tak zrobi sporo złych rzeczy, żeby uratować swoją siostrę.
Close to being as grim and horrifying as the stuff Ellie does in this game. And in spite of her being the hero that we're supposed to sympathize with, they take every route that you can possibly think of to make her look as evil as possible. Abandoning Dina and her newborn baby, killing dogs, threatening people who had.
Akurat Dina to mam wyjebane, ale tak, zabijanie psów bezpodstawne, grożenie ludziom, którzy nie mają nic wspólnego z śmiercią Joela, to świadczy o tym, że Ellie jest pierdolnie to psychopatką.
Nothing to do with Joel's death, and to top it all off, she even kills a pregnant woman, and the game never bothers to focus on that. This should have been the moment where Ellie ultimately decided.
Ja to mój jedyny moment, kiedy się na tym skupiałem, to wtedy, gdy Ellie płaca z tego powodu, jest rozpacona, szkoda tylko, że po chwili to jest okej, już o tym zapomniałam. To jest ta Ellie.
That her revenge wasn't worth it because she ended up killing an unborn baby in blind rage. If you want to make Ellie sympathetic, make this the moment where she realizes revenge will eventually turn you into a monster, not that retarded excuse for an ending. And trust me, we're gonna get to that later. Even outside of the whole grim dark revenge stuff, the way Ellie is characterized throughout the game just feels wrong. In the intro,
No i tak, zakończenie jest tragiczne.
she turns down a very genuine apology from someone who was humbly admitting that they were acting inappropriate, but she doesn't forgive him and calls him a bigot. Which begs the question: how does she not know what an ice cream truck is yet knows what bigot means? Her attitude comes across as highly entitled and unappreciative, and she's also incredibly stupid as she's too busy smoking weed and making out with Dina to do her job, or even notice that something happened to Joel. She's a dumb twat who acts highly principled and.
Tak, ja nawet serio zapomniałem o tym, że Ellie była z taką kurwą, ja pierdolę, nie? Ona strzeliła wielkiego foka na kolesia, który tam, obraził jej seksualność. Kurwa, Ellie, jak jesteś To nawet nie chodzi o to, że ty jesteś lesbijką. Tu chodzi o to, że ty się zachowujesz jak durna, zjebana lesbijka. Tu o to chodzi. Tu chodzi o twoje zachowanie. Ty kurwa swoim zachowaniem przynosisz hańbę lesbijką, bo ty się nie zachowujesz jak normalna lesbijka. Ty się zachowujesz jak durna, zjebana chłopczyca i to jest twój problem, Eli. Ani... Kurwa pierdolę, to jest twój problem. To po pierwsze. Po drugie, no właśnie, ona kurwa wybacz kobiecie, która zamordowała jej ojca, nie? Ale nie jest w stanie wybaczyć kolesiowi, który obraził jej seksualność, mimo tego, że on ją nawet przeprosił za to. Jak to nie jest dowód na to, że Eli wybaczyła Ebi tylko dlatego, bo jest kobietą, to pytam się, jakich wy jeszcze innych dowodów potrzebujecie? Na to, że jedyny powód, dlaczego Eli wybaczyła Ebi, to dlatego, bo Ebi jest kobietą. To jest jedyny powód tak naprawdę. Dlatego zrezygnowała z próby, dlatego zrezygnowała ze swojego chwału, ze swojej wielkiej zemsty. To jest jedyny powód. To jest jedyny powód, ludzie. I to jest posłać spać zioło z Diną, mając wyjebane na duela. Kolejny dowód wskazujący na to, jaką ona jest kurwa zmiłą.
Too much like a salty teenager, and throughout the game she does nothing but mope and complain, and they also made her really, really stupid.
Dokładnie, przez całą grę zachowuje się jak durna nastolatka i tylko narzeka, nie? To jest ta Eli, ludzie. To jest ta Eli z The Last of Us 2. A Polaczki są na tyle ślepe, żeby tego nie zauważyć.
Talking to Tommy about going after Abby, he brings up some very good points as to why she shouldn't just go running off on her own, and she's just like, whatever. And in her first fight with Abby, the way that you beat her is to catch her from
No, whatever. Ja jestem silna, niezależna kobieta, ja sama sobie poradzę.
behind enough times to subdue her. Not only is this lazy, but it's really out of character for Ellie. I just find it really
O Jezu, no, ta walka Ebi z Eli, ja pierdolę. Kurwa. Oni specjalnie zrobili z Eli idiotkę w tej sekwencji, byle tylko Ebi ją obiła, byle tylko Ebi wygrała to starcie.
hard to believe that with all she's experienced that she would be easily duped by Abby like this repeatedly, and she's just
No wiesz, no to jest, kolego, to jest kwestia tego, że nagle Eli stała się antagonistką, Ebi jest główną bohaterką, no to wiadomo, ona musi wygrać walkę za wszelką cenę, nie może przegrać.
boring, like incredibly boring. You took one of the most unique characters in the first game, took out all of the things that made her fun, and made her into a dumbass on a revenge kick.
Oj tak, z tym, że Eli jest nudna, również się zgodzę. Lecz no to, co jednak czyni ją odrobinę lepszą jak dla mnie od Max, to jest to, że nie jest aż tak nudna jak Max. Max jest gorsza.
Not to mention depraving her of her humanity and trying to make her look as evil as possible just to make Abby look good in comparison. And the Ellie that we grew to love in the first game simply wasn't like this. Ellie was just so much more
Ja
interesting.
to powiem tak, Max i Eli są na równi, bo obydwu nienawidzę strasznie, ale jakbym miał powiedzieć, która z nich jest lepsza złego złego, to złego złego jest lepsza jest Eli. Już naprawdę bardziej nienawidzę Max.
In the first game because her character was given more to work with. She was a real kid who forced herself to grow up in a harsh environment. She was empathetic but also really tough. She was just as flawed and vulnerable as Joel, which gave the player something to relate to. Even in the Left Behind DLC where she's forced to look over Joel while remembering her past life with Riley, they showed how she was becoming a hardened survivor and took experience from Joel. But they also took the time to portray her as a real kid, someone who's just trying to get some fun and enjoyment out of this grim post-apocalyptic world. All of her interactions with Riley were so well written and charming. We got to see a more free-spirited side of her before she started grieving over her friend's death. And even after Riley's death, she never became a depressed emo and still kept herself upbeat and snarky. But Ellie in this game is like a female version of Sasuke Uchiha. She's just miserable, unpleasant, and all around unenjoyable to be around. This isn't like Kratos where his quest for revenge was interesting because they took the time to
Oj, tutaj też mi się bardzo podoba porównanie do Kratosa, ponieważ faktycznie można porównywać to z Kratosem, tyle że no, w przypadku Kratosa było to o wiele lepsze. A też znalazłem taki film jeden, jest również potwierdzający to, jakim ścierwem jest The Last of Us 2 i wtedy również było porównywanie sceny Abby z Eli, jak Eli osadza Abby, do tego, co by było, gdyby Kratos osądził Zeusa na koniec. I to też było naprawdę zabawne, nie? Wyobraźcie sobie, co by było, gdyby po tym wszystkim, co Zeus zrobił, nie? To gdyby Kratos go puścił wolno. No ale w przeciwieństwie do Eli, Kratos nie jest idiotą.
delve into his character and what drove him to be a ruthless warrior, and God of War took the time to delve into his humanity, like where he acknowledged that he was horrible and offers to atone by murdering himself. In comparison, Ellie never gets a moment where she's struggling with some sort of humanity.
No i też Kratos jest jedną z lepszych postaci. Nie zepsuj Kratosa, w przeciwieństwie do Eli.
And even when they try to do something like that, it ends up getting wasted as she just reverts into being an edgy idiot. And even if you put all that aside, I still can't think of anything to like about Ellie in this game because there's nothing to like. And that's the
Jakby kurwa pierdolę, ona torturuje kobietę na śmierć. Ona kobietę na śmierć torturuje. Podzyna wszystkim dookoła gardła. To jest chore.
main problem with Ellie's character. It has no substance. She's nothing more than a revenge-obsessed freak in a game where every other character is already a revenge-obsessed freak. She doesn't even stand out as a unique character. She's the same miserable piece of shit as everybody else. All because they wanted to make a shitty story about the cycle of revenge and how bad it's supposed to be. Even if that's the story they wanted to go with, they didn't even succeed in making it work.
No, mogliby odnieść być może jakiś sukces. No ale kurwa, nie robią z Eli totalną psychopatkę, która jest nie do lubienia.
First of all, they don't even
Tylko co wiecie, no oni myśleli, że jak zrobią z Eli taką postać, to będzie to przedstawienie Eli jako ta silna. Patrzcie, jak ona jest silna, niezależna kobieta. No ja pierdolę, kurwa, serio są na tym świecie debile, którzy pierdolą, to głównie debile z Polski, będą ci pierdolić, że Eli to jest silna, niezależna kobieta. Gdzie ona jest silna i niezależna? Pytam się, kurwa, gdzie? Silna i niezależna kobieta to, kurwa, ja pierdolę, wy macie w bajkach nawet. Ja pierdolę, Lina to jest silna, niezależna. Raven jest silna, niezależna. Claudine jest silna, niezależna. Nawet Wings, kurwa, w porównaniu do Ellie są silne i niezależne, ale nie ta pizda. Nie ta psychopatyczna pizda.
Didn't do anything new, interesting, or unique with this revenge plot.
Clementine jest silna, niezależna, też. Ciri jest silna, niezależna, a nie Ellie.
It's the exact same by-the-number story that you've seen so many times, and it's also been done so much better in other...
To, o czym mówiłem, że te historie z zemstą, to one są powtarzalne, no i również to, czego ta gra nas uczy, że zemsta to jest dla idiotów. Jakby, serio, w moim pierwszym odcinku z Mroz Anielskich Spojrzeń na gry mówiłem, że to jest lekcja dla dzieci, dla idiotów. The Last of Us 2 daje ci lekcję dla idiotów, bo każdy mądry człowiek rozumie, że zemsta do niczego dobrego nie prowadzi.
forms of media. So right off the bat, the story is already suffering from being incredibly formulaic and predictable. Not that the first game was unpredictable, but they still added some twists and turns that helped it stand out from other zombie apocalypse stories. This shitty revenge plot is as painfully
Przede wszystkim The Last of Us 1 miało naprawdę pamiętne i klimatyczne momenty. Tego samego nie da się powiedzieć o The Last of Us 2.
cliché and unremarkable as you can possibly get. Nothing new, nothing interesting, and nothing that helps it stand out, which just makes it boring to play through. And even if you're not bothered by the lack of originality and predictable writing, the revenge narrative still doesn't work because everything about it completely conflicts with the story from the first game. Remember how it ended with Joel putting his relationship with Ellie over humanity getting another chance? And how it split the fan base on whether or not he made the right decision? That's what made it work so well. The tone of the first game was entirely about
Ja osobiście zawsze uważałem, że on podjął właściwą decyzję, ponieważ jak dla mnie świetliki są skorupowane w chuj i nawet gdyby byli w stanie wytworzyć to lekarstwo, to ja się założę, że oni by tego lekarstwa użyli do swoich własnych celów. Komuś takiemu jak świetliki nie można ufać, więc moim zdaniem Joel podjął dobrą decyzję ratując Ellie. Nawet gdyby ta szczepionka zadziałała, to świetliki wykorzystałyby ją na swoją własną korzyść. Dla swoich własnych celów. Nie uratowaliby wcale świata.
moral ambiguity, so ending it with Joel being a morally ambiguous character was a brilliant way to wrap up the story. You could make the argument that Joel is unlikable for preventing humanity from getting a cure, but you can also make the argument that he saved Ellie from a group of terrorists with no guarantee that they'd actually get a cure. And not only does it bring Joel's morality into question, but it also leaves you, the player, asking if you would have done the same thing. Would you be willing to sacrifice humanity's second chance to save your child? Would
Ja tak.
you be willing to sacrifice someone important to you to save the world? It brings up the psychology
Ja jak najbardziej.
of not just Joel, but also the player. It's actually really interesting when you think about it, as it stands for rationality versus irrationality, an ending that actually makes people reflect on themselves. And here comes the sequel to just shit all over that. Not only is Joel killed, but he's swiftly killed in the most brutal and depressing way possible in literally the first 2 hours of the game as Ellie begs and pleads for his life. And then after that, you're forced to play a good chunk of the game as Joel's murderer, and you're also being forced to sympathize with her. And the cherry on top of this retarded sundae is that while controlling her, you have to smash Ellie's face in while being tempted to slit the throat of her pregnant girlfriend. That's a load of fucked up we'll get to later, but the context that I'm getting from this is that by taking control of Abby, killing Joel, and beating the shit out of Ellie, you are actively retconning the message that you were sending to people with the first game. You're telling them that what Joel did was 100% objectively wrong, and that Ellie is completely wrong for wanting to avenge her father figure. No moral ambiguity, no self-reflection, no questioning your choices, just generic good versus evil that turns Joel and Ellie, the characters that you were supposed to side with in the first game, into the villains for Abby's story. The Last of Us Part 2 doesn't let you think about Joel's decision. Instead, it wants to think for you. It wants you to hate Joel and Ellie because it wants you to side with Abby 100%. And really, why the fuck would I want to side against Joel and Ellie when The Last of Us is entirely about Joel and Ellie? Making it about the cycle of revenge completely invalidates the plot of the first game because it
No właśnie, ja pierdolę. Oni serio chcieli, żebyśmy zaczęli nienawidzieć postacie, z którymi się zżyliśmy. No niestety w przypadku Ellie to podziałało, bo Ellie jest na tyle spierdolnięta, że jej się nie da lubić. No ale Joela dalej uwielbiam. Joel dalej moim zdaniem jest zajebistą postacią. Niezależnie od tego, co Naughty Dog będą chcieli mi powiedzieć. Ja Joela uwielbiam. I to się nigdy nie zmieni. Zaś co do Abby, to jest skóra porażka, pierdolę. Można napisać postać, która robi złe rzeczy, odpierdala jej, jest nawet gotowa sporo osób poświęcić, ale ma jakieś tam ukryte motywacje, cele. Też ktoś doprowadził do tego, że taka postać jest taka stała. Można coś takiego zrobić i coś takiego udało się zrobić w przypadku Katry, Siry i Księżyca, bo co to jest Sira i Księżycki Moc to jest bajka. Katra jest jedną z najlepszych moim zdaniem damskich postaci. Naprawdę bardzo dobrze napisana. Zaś tutaj tragedia, to jest tragedia po prostu.
doesn't fit the established tone of the franchise. The Last of Us was a personal story about Joel and Ellie's relationship. What made the first game so special was because of how it revolved around them. We saw everything unfold from their perspective. We were put in their shoes. Their journey is the one that we followed, so obviously people are going to care if the sequel is suddenly telling us that we have to beat the shit out of them. The first game was about the growth of a surrogate parent and child, building a family and finding a second chance in a world depraved of hope. Making the second game about revenge is just so out of left field, and it doesn't fit with the first game at all. It literally feels like a
No właśnie, to jest sam fakt, że oni postanowili zrobić z The Last of Us 2 historię o zemście. To nie powinna być historia o zemście, to ma być historia o przetrwaniu, ponieważ The Last of Us 2 ma być przetrwaniem, tak? To jest apokalipsa zombie, więc tutaj przetrwanie powinno być najważniejsze.
completely different story rather than a continuation. But if you really want to, let's forget about the first game for a second and try to see this narrative on its own. And even then, it's still crap. It's pretty obvious to tell what they were going for here, trying to make Ellie and Abby the villain of each other's story, to make a scenario where two people would eventually become monsters in pursuit of revenge. The problem is that the way that it's paced and the way that it writes its characters are so terrible and impossible to relate to. If you want a revenge story,
Znaczy, ja bym powiedział tak, obydwie Abby i Ellie są żałosne, są obrzydliwe i chciałbym, żeby zdechły obydwie. Obydwie powinny umrzeć. Joel natomiast ofiara i to mu należy współczuć.
To be good, you have to make us root for the characters trying to get revenge. But both Ellie and Abby are too unlikable for the player to sympathize with. And when you really look at it, the cycle of revenge isn't even a factor for half the game. Because after killing Joel, Abby isn't being driven by revenge. Her portion of the campaign is completely detached from the incident with Joel and Ellie and holds no relevance to the actual plot. If you want Abby's story to fit into the revenge plot, then we should be controlling her at the start of the game right before her father dies. And instead of just teleporting to the part where she kills Joel, have us control her on her journey to Jackson. That way you might have been able to develop her character a bit more and give her something to gravitate to. Show her coping with her father's death and learning about the events that led to it. And the message that they're trying to send about how revenge is bad and hurts everyone involved doesn't register because the story is incredibly biased in favor of Abby while shitting over Ellie. Abby got to have her revenge on Joel and she doesn't suffer any consequences for it. She gets out of this completely unscathed and gets to walk away.
Znaczy, ktoś mógł powiedzieć, że Abby ponosi takie konsekwencje, że wszyscy jej przyjaciele giną. Ginie Owen, ginie Mary, że wszyscy jej przyjaciele giną i to jest konsekwencja jej akcji, tego, że zabija Joela. No ale w porównaniu do Ellie, no to jest żadna konsekwencja.
With her friend Lev. Meanwhile, Ellie gets abandoned by her girlfriend, gets her fingers bitten off, ends up completely alone, and isn't able to play her guitar anymore. And she never even got her
No co zasłużyła, bo jest kurwą, no ale Abby też powinna zdechnąć najlepiej.
fucking revenge by letting Abby live. This is supposed to be a game about how revenge is bad, but Abby got everything that she wanted with no repercussions. And in spite of Ellie having every right to have revenge on the person who
Tutaj moim zdaniem trochę przesada, bo on mówi, że Abby dostała wszystko, czego chciała, bez żadnych konsekwencji. Przesada trochę, bo wszyscy przyjaciele Abby nie żyją poza Lewem, więc no jakieś tam konsekwencje poniosła, ale to jest i tak nic w porównaniu do tego, co spotkało Ellie, no. Więc no... Jakieś konsekwencje poniosła, ale to jest za mało.
really killed her father figure, she gets demonized and ends up with nothing at the end of the story. Abby is portrayed as such a piece of shit that it makes you want to see Ellie get her revenge even more. And seeing them cop out of it at the last possible second in such a stupid way is just horrible writing. Abby doesn't even learn anything about revenge being bad because she never comes to that conclusion on her own. She was prepared to slaughter both Ellie and Dina and only stopped because Lev told her not to do it. Ellie is entirely right, and yet she's
No obydwie są kurwa pierdolnie, to i jedna i druga.
the one who gets the short end of the stick when Abby is such a remorseless psycho. And even beyond that, the motivations are so poorly established and the deaths just feel meaningless. Anyone who cared about the first game is not going to want to be in control of the character who murdered Joel and then go on to brutalize Ellie. And because of how randomly
No właśnie, nie? Kurwa, serio, oni myśleli, że oni chcieli, żebyśmy poczuli sympatię do postaci, która zamordowała gościa, którego uwielbialiśmy. Co oni mieli w głowie? Naprawdę, co oni mieli w głowie?
horribly Joel is killed, his death is just an afterthought. It means nothing except being a forced motivation for Ellie. On some level, I could see this working as a revenge story if they did enough to make us empathize with Ellie and Abby. Something that makes us want to get their revenge for them. But no, it's just killing each other for the sake of killing each other. And hello, wasn't this series about surviving the zombie apocalypse? With all this talk of revenge and having the story revolve around Ellie trying to kill Abby, the infected aren't even an organic presence in this game. You might as well cut them out of the game entirely because now it's about fighting other groups of people, which quite frankly makes this game way more uncomfortable than it should be.
No właśnie, to też powiedziano o tym, że no, zombie tak naprawdę nie istnieją w The Last of Us 2. No, tam jakieś spotycki małe zombie były w The Last of Us 2, ale praktycznie naprawdę, jakby oni nie istnieli. Jakby serio, jest koniec apokalipsy, to jedynie ludzie się wyzynają z powodu przeszłości. To jest wojna ludzi, nie wojna z zombie.
Oh yeah, we're getting into the really disturbing stuff now.
Brutal Valence, Chris, oj tak, popieram. Ta gra jest cringe'owata, zdecydowanie.
You know that theory going around that the developers had to watch videos on Lively and simulate the graphic imagery to make the game look as violent as possible? I don't know if it's true, but it's definitely a possibility. The violent content in this game is, well, there's no other way of putting it. It's fucking horrifying. I mean, the first game had some violent stuff in it too, but they were able to keep it at some sort of modest level. Joel wasn't motivated by revenge or killing every last one of them, he was motivated by survival and protecting Ellie. And the violent imagery never got so grim and
The Last of Us 2 może się pochwalić tym, że jest chyba najbardziej brutalną i przemocową grą ze wszystkich gier ever. Szkoda tylko, że ta przemoc jest totalnie głupia, bezsensowna i powinna w ogóle nie istnieć.
graphic to the point that it made you feel uncomfortable. But in this game, not only did they make the violence against the other humans violent, they made it Final Destination levels of graphic. And because Ellie's motivation isn't survival or protection, but instead to kill every last one of them, the tone of the violence becomes all the more horrific and disturbing. You literally feel like you're in control of a serial killer. Not only can you kill people in this game, but you can take your time killing them slowly and horribly. And the way that it's presented is very unpleasant. Enemies actually
To jest kurwa chore, ja pierdolę. Jak to nie jest potwierdzenie tego, co mówiłem o Ellie, to jest pierdolita psychopatka, to pytam się, co ja jestem móc powiedzieć? Żebyście mieli dowody na to, że Ellie jest zła.
limp and fall to the ground in a really realistic manner while screaming in agony holding onto their dismembered body parts. And for good measure, their allies call them by name in a traumatized fashion and demonize you in a despairing tone. In games like Doom, God of War, and Wolfenstein, the enemies were mindless monsters and genocidal maniacs, so you weren't expected to feel bad about killing them in violent ways. These are people who had nothing to do with Joel's death. They're just protecting their territory and searching the area. So killing them by the numbers in such brutal ways just feels meaningless. And you think,
No właśnie, nie, Ellie sobie zła spokojnie, ale co tam, wbije sobie kurwa na teren wilków i będę wszystkich po kolei wyzynać. Nawet tych, którzy nie mieli nic wspólnego ze śmiercią Joela. Idiotka.
that would be bad enough, but they actually take it a step further and give you the option to do all of that twisted and demented shit to dogs. Yeah, because slaughtering dogs left and right as a psycho on a revenge kick is definitely what people want in a Last of Us sequel. It was one thing to kill dogs in Wolfenstein because they're literally Nazis who are trained to slaughter innocent civilians and eat human flesh. Even in games like Call of Duty, it's
Tutaj teraz jego wymowa o tym, jak pierdolite jest mordowanie psów w The Last of Us 2. No powiem tak, ja psów nie lubię, to nie zmienia i tak faktu, że to, co oni tutaj zrobili, jest zaosne. To jest kurwa przegięcie pewnych granic.
understandable because they're trained by the opposing military and you have no choice but to defend yourself. These dogs aren't Nazis or military trained. They're just being protective of their owners and scouting the field. And the fact that the game allows you to kill them in any way you want with no scruples is absolutely sadistic. You don't just shoot them in the head or beat them with melee weapons, you set them on fire. Fucking fire! What demented fuckhead would actually want to do something like that? Maybe this is just
Rosa Blom byłaby dumna.
my personal bias as a dog owner, but I find it extremely fucked up that the game not only allows you to freely kill dogs in horrifying ways, but also tries to pull this bullshit finger waving and demonize you for playing by its rules. There's even a moment in the story where you brutally stab Ellie's dog to death. Yeah. I'm gonna brutally murder an innocent animal that had nothing to do with Joel's death. That'll show that evil Abby person a thing or two. For Christ's sake, she killed a dog that didn't do anything but its duty as a guard dog. I can understand Ellie defending herself, but when the game switches to Abby's perspective, they want you to hate her for doing exactly that. With the
Tak jest, ona mówi, głupi pies, kurwa, głupi pies, no, głupi pies. Wbiłaś na jego terytorium, głupi pies. Ellie jest naprawdę bezczelna, nienawidzę jej.
way they implemented dog killing into this game, it's like they just wanted to further antagonize Ellie to make Abby look like the good guy. After a while, the game stops being about revenge and turns into a story about mass murder. Remember when Hatred came out and everyone rightfully called it out for being a disgusting excuse for a game with the main character?
No to jest, no oczywiście oni chcą, żebyśmy nienawidzili Eli, no to im się udało, no ale Abby jest też kurwą, no właśnie tak tkwi w tym, że obydwie są kurwami. A nie czuję sympatii ani do jednej, ani do drugiej, obydwie są obrzydliwe.
Number happy edgelord who slaughters people with no purpose or reason? Yeah, that's exactly what this game feels like. Just meaningless slaughter with no motivation. I didn't think it was possible, but they managed to make a game more edgy and tryhard than that shitty Devil May Cry reboot. It's meaninglessly violent and cruel. It tries to...
Co prawda fakt faktem, że Eli nienawidzę bardziej niż Abby, to nie zmienia i tak faktu, że Abby również jest kurwą.
Make you feel as uncomfortable as possible with the agonizing NPCs and dog killing, and it makes Ellie less of a relatable character trying to avenge her father and more into a bloodthirsty serial killer in a failed attempt to make Abby more heroic in comparison. And that's not even including the compilation of cringe-inducing content in this game, like the bigot sandwich scene.
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
Are you seriously telling me that Ellie didn't know what an ice cream truck is, but is somehow knowledgeable enough to know what a bigot is? Who the fuck even talks like that in the zombie apocalypse? And in an environment...
Oj tak. To co oni gadają w tej grze to jest również skrizowate, ale jest to ta scena, gdy Dina, nie, to była Eli, gdy Eli pyta się Diny jak śmierdzę i się całują, ja pierdolę, to był taki cringe, że przysięgam sobie, że już nigdy więcej tej sceny nie obejrzę. To jest powód, dlaczego ja nienawidzę tej ich relacji, to jest obrzydliwe.
Where good food is scarce, she doesn't even take the fucking sandwiches. This is just an entire other level of cringe. Then you have that stupid scene in the weed lab where they come across a porn stash where one of the movies is called... Oh god, I can't even bring myself to say it, just listen.
Smash Brandy's scooch.
Oh yeah, that's some brilliant top-notch...
Na przykładzie mówiłem już o tym, że nienawidzę angielskiego dubbingu Eli. Już wolę z go... No, Anna Cieślak jest dobrą aktorką, ale kurwa, żeby wcielać się w taką psychopatkę. A szkoda ci Riz Sunset, w które też się wcielała, a obydwie bohaterki są zajebiste.
Fighting guys, Uncharted 4 had an entire minigame where you actually played a level of Crash Bandicoot, and it was actually a really good reference and a great nod to Naughty Dog's golden years. And now you've gone down to the level of referencing him via porn title. What fucking disrespect. You also have that stupid conversation between Ellie and Jesse, which is just shitty exposition, and then they have this really awkward conversation about how Dina kissed Ellie before he comes out and says it was just a joke. What kind of puke-inducing high school drama is this? Who would even want that in a sequel to The Last of Us? And then you have...
No właśnie, dobre pytanie. Kto by chciał głupiej pierdolenie o lesbijkach w The Last of Us 2? Myślę, że nikt. A nie, sprawdzam, Polacki na pewno chciały, bo to Polacki tak wychwalają The Last of Us 2.
The cringe-inducing sex scene with Abby. I wish I was making this up, but this is real.
No tak, o Jezu, ta scena seksu, o tym mówiłem w moim też filmie, że to jest tak kurwa wymuszone, tak złe i tak cringe'owate, mówiłem o tym w moim pierwszym odcinku na tym kanale, w sumie, to mój pierwszy film na tym kanale. No, mój pierwszy film to jest opierdzielanie The Last of Us 2, w pierwszym odcinku mojej serii, Brosa anielskie spłodzenie na gry.
Bill Tuckman wanted you, with a straight face, to watch Joel's murderer having transsexual intercourse with her ex-boyfriend immediately after a conversation about torturing people and cutting them up until they cry. And to top it all off, this scene was actually motion captured.
Pożykać się można.
Fucking seriously? People actually greenlit this. Neil Druckmann wrote his disgusting, cringe-inducing fetish fantasy into the script, and they said, yes, this is what The Last of Us needs. A sex scene with a muscle-bound freak who brutally murdered Joel in front of Ellie. What the
W ogóle po co komu kurwa sceny seksu w The Last of Us? To jest apokalipsa. A nie porno.
fuck is wrong with you? I could actually go on and on with this game's cringe factor and all the other failed attempts that they have at being humorous, but then we would be here all day and I really don't give a shit. Even when the game isn't being edgy try-hard grittiness, it's still unwatchable because the dialogue and the way the characters interact are so tasteless and pathetic that it feels like you're watching a horribly written fanfiction. Actually, that's not a fair comparison because there's literally fanfiction with better writing than this garbage excuse for a sequel. There's just so many moments where Ellie is completely out of character, and other moments where the rest of the cast are annoying idiots. Any random fan of the first game could have been paid to write the sequel for this game, and I guarantee goddamn that they would have come up with something better than what we actually got here. And they certainly wouldn't have come up with a story where we're forced to spend half of the game sympathizing with Joel's murderer. Hey, do you remember that random surgeon that you
Teraz mówienie Abby z kolei. Jak jest złą postacią. Oj, naprawdę. Tutaj świetne słowa. Bo Abby jest też zła. I to tak totalnie.
killed at the end of the first game? Did you care about him at all? No, nobody did. But now you have to because it turns out that random surgeon was actually Abby's father.
To jest typowa próba zmuszenia nas graczy do tego, żebyśmy współczuli postaci, która nie odgrywa jakiejkolwiek roli, ale to tam nagle się okazało, że to jest ojciec jednej z ważniejszych postaci w The Last of Us 2, więc mamy teraz mu współczuć i mamy współczuć tej postaci, tak? Kurwa, to jest żałosne, ja pierdolę, naprawdę. Znaczy, żeby nie było, już parę razy, oczywiście parę razy, a nawet już więcej razy niż parę razy twórcy próbowali coś takiego odpierdolić, tak? Na przykład w GTA 4. Rockstar chcieli, żebyśmy współczuli Kate, tego, że zginęła. No i niestety na debili to podziałało, no dość sporo debili współczuje Kate, tego, że zginęła. A wiecie co ja wam z kolei powiem? Kate mam wyjebane. A co mam wyjebane? Po to cię mam wyjebane, a z drugiej strony się nawet cieszę, bo Kate to była kurwa, która mnie wkurwia i generalnie cieszę się, że Jimmy Begorino ją zabił. Zero współczucia wobec niej. I tak samo tutaj.
You heard right. That random NPC that no one gave a shit about 7 years ago was her father. And now we have to sympathize with Abby because of it. That is fucking lazy. It would be one thing if Abby had a connection to a key character like Marley.
No dokładnie. Leniwe. Jak to jest to, co robią Square Enix.
Or maybe even David. But no, it's just some random NPC. Seriously, you could have taken any of the NPCs from the last game and say they were Abby's father, and it would have made about as much sense. Imagine if Uncharted 5 was about one of the goons stray killed having a daughter who tracks down and kills him, and then you spend half the game playing as that character fighting his wife and daughter. That's how stupid this idea is. Almost as stupid as the way that Abby is actually
Że mam nadzieję, że nigdy nie powstanie Uncharted 5. Podan Dean nie chce również więcej widzieć serii Uncharted.
designed. I mean, just look at this thing. It is so unbearably ugly. I actually took some time to
No co powiedzieć tak, kolego, oni już coś takiego odpierdoli w spadku jednej postaci imienia Nadine, Uncharted 4, więc to nie jest pierwszy raz, gdy wpierdalają taką kobitkę do gry Naughty Dog.
look up the inspiration for Abby's design, and apparently she's modeled after this woman named Colin
Poważnie, naprawdę.
Fudge. But even if that's true, they absolutely failed because these two look nothing alike.
Chwila. Muszę to jeszcze raz przewinąć.
Almost as stupid as the way that Abby is actually designed. I mean, just look at this thing. It is so unbearably ugly. I actually took some time to look up the inspiration for Abby's design, and apparently she's modeled after this woman named
Okej, oni... Chwila, nie oni. W ogóle to muszę zmienić sobie rozdzielczość, bo się za bardzo tnie, sorry za to. Ale w każdym razie, ten gość teraz, on mówi o tym, że tutaj ogólnie Naughty Dog wzięli inspirację z tej kobiety. Że ta kobieta miała być inspiracją Abby. Przepraszam, co? Przecież ta kobieta nawet nie wygląda tak źle. Ja bym powiedział, że wygląda okej ta kobieta, w sensie, no... Jest okej jak najbardziej. Abby, kurwa, jest totalnie... Abby ma, kurwa, mięśni w chuj, jakby brała sterydy. A ta kobieta wygląda normalnie, no może jest trochę pogrybiona, ale nie jest jakoś super wielce brzydka. No bez przesady. To ma być inspiracja? To też nie wysło.
Colin Fudge. But even if that's true, they absolutely failed because these two look nothing alike. Abby's physique is just so uncanny and disproportionate. Her chest is larger than the rest of her body, which just looks unnatural. And look at those muscles. I know that muscles tend to be white, but those things are just so cartoonishly larger than her head. Who the hell would okay a design like this? It's just so cringy and wrong. Well, apparently they wanted Abby to be as muscular as possible because the motivation was making the female characters less feminine in order to appear trans-friendly. Seriously,
I to jest też coś, co mnie wyprowadziło z równowagi, gdy pierwszy raz oglądałem ten film. Oni stworzyli taką postać, która miała na celu być przyjazna osobom trans. Naprawdę? Naprawdę? Okej, to ja teraz coś powiem. To ja jako osoba, która czuje się kobietą, która chciałaby być kobietą, powiem to szczerze, w życiu nie chciałbym wyglądać jak Abby. Ja też nawet widziałem parę tam, a to się zapoznawałem trochę z tą tematyką ogólnie i ja ogólnie na YouTubie widziałem kobiety, które są po zmianie po operacji płci i to były naprawdę ładne dziewczyny, więc kobieta tak nie wygląda po zmianie płci, to po pierwsze, a po drugie nic nie jest w grze powiedziane o tym, że Abby jest trans kobietą, że kiedyś była facetem, więc dla kogo ona miała być przyjazna? Dla jakiej grupy? Chyba dla grupy toksycznych lesbijek i feministek. A nie dla trans dziewczyn, albo też dla trans facetów.
friendly. I don't have anything against trans people, let me make that very clear, but something about this just feels really wrong. I mean, in the original trailer where Abby was revealed, she actually looked a lot better. She was muscular, but her body was more natural. Her muscles are properly tuned, and her chest wasn't so cartoonishly large. It would have been completely okay to keep Abby's model like this. But somewhere along the way, Neil Druckmann decided that he wanted everything about Abby to be bigger, and I mean really bigger. And not only is this design ugly as hell, it's lazy. Maybe it's just me, but when I first saw Abby's reveal trailer, I actually thought that she was Ellie. I don't know, just something about the way her face is modeled and the way her body is built. It sort of looked like how Ellie would look if she started lifting weights. She could literally just pass as a bigger and more muscular Ellie, and it's such a strange decision that it makes you ask why they would do that. Why the hell would Neil Druckmann take an already okay design for Abby and just want to make it into this muscle-bound freak?
More specifically, I'm talking about our female characters. And whether we want to admit it or not, these are
Proszę bardzo, proszę bardzo. Zaraz posłuchamy ich prawdziwego powodu.
models. And yet we sexualize, we objectify, we marginalize, and we reduce these female characters to a lot less than they can be. And this is coming from a guy that almost made a really misogynistic game. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. So once this thing failed and I had this awakening, almost exactly the same time,
No kto by się spodziewał, że rzekoma seksualizacja kobiet ma z tym cokolwiek wspólnego? Wow. Wystarczyło tylko i wyłącznie zrobić tak, żeby Abby wyglądała jak kobieta. Żeby nie miała takich mięśnic, to naprawdę była tak ciężkie, debile. No chyba dla nich było ciężkie. Ale zaraz, skoro z Abby zrobili takiego olbrzyma, to czemu z Ellie też takiego olbrzyma nie zrobili? Więc Ellie wygląda jak taka głupia chłopczyca nastolatka. No ale też wiadomo, no nie można oczekiwać z tego, że te dziewczyny będą inaczej wyglądać. To jest apokalipsa zombie, tak? Ale po co robić z Abby jakiegoś Hulka? The Last of Us to nie jest miejsce, gdzie kobiety mają być ładne. Ja sobie zdaję sprawę z tego, że Ellie nie może wyglądać jak modelka. Ja mam problem z jej charakterem, z jej zachowaniem, z tym mam problem i też z tym, że jest lesbijką. Bo chcę stereotypu o lesbijkach, ale wcale nie musiała być lesbijką. Mogłaby w stanie być biseksualna, już by było lepiej. Ja mam z tym problem, jeśli chodzi o Ellie. A Abby Ja z Abby mam taki problem, że po pierwsze zero sympatii wobec niej można odczuć, po drugie zabiła Joela, więc ja mam z nią sympatyzować, no nie ma takiej opcji. Po trzecie, wcale nie musiała tak wyglądać, debile. A po czwarte, gdzie jest tak seksualizacja kobiet? Gdzie się pytam? Teraz w każdej grze kobieta wygląda jak durna, zjebana chłopca. Więc żadnej seksualizacji nie ma, idioci. A nie, przepraszam, są jakieś wyjątki, tak? Są jakieś wyjątki ładnieckich dziewczyn, ale to są wyjątki tylko. Teraz co druga kobieta to jest durna chłopca w grze. Idioci.
This Kickstarter happened about the tropes versus women in video games.
Okay, so apparently Neil Druckmann took inspiration from Anita Sarkeesian, taking her presentation on how female characters are represented, and tried to make Abby as non-feminine as possible while also doing so in the name of making her appear trans-friendly. You know, the same woman who tried to preach to us about the euthanized damsel. I never thought I'd have to say this in a Last of Us review, but you should never ever allow Anita Sarkeesian to have any sort of influence on your game. That's not even lesson 1. Hell, that's not even lesson 0. And Neil Druckmann was somehow stupid enough to allow her to be involved. Seriously, everything about Abby's appearance is
No, to jest kwestia tak zwanej poprawności politycznej.
exactly the kind of thing that Anita Sarkeesian would have a wet dream over. A female character depraved of any and all feminine traits, making her as muscular bound as possible, and then saying that this character is supposed to be friendly to trans people. Everything about Abby's design is just a man's body with a woman's head attached
No to ja jako trans dziewczyna, bo się czuję dziewczyną, Abby w żaden sposób nie sprawia, że czuję się lepiej. W żaden sposób tego nie sprawia. Nie jest w żaden sposób wobec mnie przyjazna. Więc coś nie wysło, Naughty Dog.
Hell, they didn't even bother to give her boobs. Those are the kind of pecs that you would see on Dwayne Johnson. There are literally female bodybuilders in real life with more boobs than this thing. Is this what Anita Sarkeesian thinks women should look like? Is this what Neil Druckmann thinks women should look like? Because everything about this design and the motivation behind it makes me very genuinely concerned. You took a female character, made her look as non-female and manly as possible to be more appealing to trans people, and then you put that character in a sex scene. Then you have that character
Teraz znowu o tym mówię, ale no, jak już tutaj takie sprawy omawiamy, no to muszę coś o tym wspomnieć. Nawet jeśli jest to dość ciężki temat dla mnie, to muszę coś o tym wspomnieć, żeby czasem ktoś mnie nie nazywał homofobem potem w komentarzach.
you as a vessel for beating the living shit out of 2 lesbians, one of which is pregnant, and then have that character try to slit the pregnant one's throat. If you were going to represent
No właśnie. Ma być charakterem, która jest przyjazna wobec osób trans, ale z drugiej strony atakuje lesbijki. Nie żeby te lesbijki były przyjazne wobec kogokolwiek, no ale w dalszym ciągu. Hipokryzja.
I'm pretty sure that's not the right way to do it. Hell, the lesbians that Abby is brutalizing are literally half her size. And Abby's inclusion in this game gets even worse even when you take all of that out. Even without the muscular body or the unfortunate implication of having a symbol for trans people beating the shit out of 2 lesbians, she's still horrible. Why? Because her inclusion completely ruins the story. Sequels tend to include new characters all the time while pushing them as the new protagonist. But The Last of Us Part 2 does it especially badly. This character that the audience has literally no connection with is suddenly supposed to be a big deal because they kill Joel before the end of the prologue. And in spite of the game making her as despicable as possible, suddenly halfway through, with no warning, you have to play as and sympathize with her. They are saying straight to your face that you should want to hurt Ellie as this person, and that Ellie is completely in the wrong for wanting to avenge her father figure. What brain-dead bullshit is this? Oh yeah, I can't wait to play as the new character who brutally murders the protagonist I cared about from the first game while brutally beating his daughter and threatening to slit her girlfriend's throat. Isn't that what everybody would want in a sequel to a beloved game? I'm sorry, but you're a fucking idiot for defending this. There is no way that you can see this as anything but a massive fuck you.
Oj, chciałbym, żeby on to powiedział Polaczkom, pokroju serc, pokroju... No ja lubię Sarda i Volta, ale to, że oni czerpali przyjemność z tej gry, to jest kurwa dla mnie dramat.
To anyone who cared even remotely about the first game. Making you play as Abby, having her torture and kill Joel, and then having Ellie be a boss fight where you brutally smash her face in, while still trying to make her look like the good guy in all this, that is literally a middle finger to The Last of Us fans. People who spent the entire first game caring about Joel and Ellie and wanting to see their relationship being explored more. Why is Ellie suddenly the villain for being justified in wanting to kill Abby? Why are we supposed to care about this random character who horribly killed and threatened Ellie's family? Because that stupid surgeon was her dad? This is like if they made a Mario game and all of a sudden Bowser Jr. kills Luigi and you spend the rest of the game playing as him while fighting Mario and Peach. And it didn't even have to be this bad. On some level, I might have been okay with playing as Abby if they actually did something to make her sympathetic, but spoiler alert, they don't. In fact, they really double down on how heinous she is. You thought it was bad with the out-of-context leaks? Well, it gets a lot worse from there. Abby was getting attacked by infected. She was literally seconds away from death when Joel saved her. Then him and Tommy came out to protect her and get her back to her group safely. They were even nice enough to offer to help the group stock up on supplies before heading out. And after all of that generosity, what does Abby do? She shoots the kneecaps off of someone who just saved
To żeby nie pokazanie tego, jaką ona jest zmiją.
her life, then proceeds to brutally torture him and murder him in front of his daughter as she begs and pleads. I am dead serious. This just happened. And after all of that crap, we're supposed to sympathize with Abby? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is something that a villain would do, not the hero of the story that you're supposed to be rooting for. It would have been one thing if Abby
No właśnie, dobrze powiedziane.
had some sort of conflicting feelings about it, but she does all this without hesitation. Oh, and just to make it even better, she shoots him in the knee before even asking for his last name. Like, holy fuck, was Abby just prepared to do all of this fucked up shit to any rando whose name happened to be Joel? That is actually really scary to think about. Like, could you imagine if they ended up getting the wrong Joel?
Joel Miller.
What? No, I'm not Joel Miller, I'm Joel Schumacher. There is literally no
Ja pierdolę, no. Też o tym nie pomyślałem nawet. Że ona jest na tyle pierdolnięta, żeby to zrobić każdemu Joelowi. Jakby się okazało, że to nie jest ten Joel, no to co? No to by zginął. Niewinny człowiek całkowicie.
around that. You don't have the sympathetic protagonist literally torture and kill someone like this in front of a loved one. And the added context just makes her even more villainous. She was traveling the country for people named Joel with the intent of slaughtering them without hesitation, with no intention of making sure she even got the right Joel. Not only that, but she does this even after he saved her life. The character kills them because their selfish motivation is supposed to be more important than the selfless act of the person who is being humble to them. What exactly about this is supposed to make her sympathetic? And even from a dramatic standpoint, the scene doesn't even work. It's already rushed beyond belief, but what makes it even worse is how there's no build-up. This is the kind of scene you're supposed to do with characters who know each other or are familiar with each other.
Nie to żeby Abby miała jakiekolwiek pozytywne cechy, jak na przykład, nie wiem, być lojalnym, ale ona nawet nie jest lojalna. w żadnym stopniu.
But Joel doesn't even know who any of these people are, and because there's no established connection between any of these characters, there is no tension. It's just Joel randomly getting ambushed and killed. This is like if Wolverine got killed by a random thug in Logan. It simply doesn't add up. And after all these disturbing implications, I'm supposed to feel bad for Abby because her father died and they freed a zebra a couple of hours earlier. Look, I'm sorry if this is gonna sound harsh, but in this couple of minutes of Abby spending time with her dad, we're never given a real reason to like him. And our time with him is so brief that the audience isn't even able to establish a connection with him. It's just, oh, he's an animal lover who saved a zebra, and that's it. And on top of that, Abby's father is kind of a dick. I mean, I get that he's trying to make a cure, but he's clearly trying to rush the situation without considering anyone else about the tough decision. Marlene is clearly uncomfortable with the idea of sacrificing Ellie for a cure, and yet he's really passive-aggressive about pressuring Marlene into just accepting it. He doesn't even suggest they wait till Ellie wakes up to
No, i my mamy niby mu współczuć. Kwaza kurwa niedockanie Naughty Dog.
give her a choice. He's completely okay with sacrificing a teenage girl for a vaccine, and the way he asks why Joel should be told about this just makes him look really terrible. He's literally saying that Joel doesn't deserve to know about sacrificing Ellie in spite of the huge possibility they developed a close relationship over the past year. So aside from having very little screen time and personality, he's also being a huge dick about sacrificing a teenage girl and not telling her surrogate father. And because of how quickly he comes and goes, it comes across as an extremely weak motivation for Abby's revenge. This is why Abby should have been playable before they got to Jackson. We could have gotten some flashbacks with her dad that would better explore the connection between the two instead of it just being an excuse to kill off Joel. Are there
Albo najlepiej, Abby nie powinna w ogóle istnieć i cała ta historia nie powinna istnieć.
other reasons to feel bad for Abby? Well, none that I can think of, because given her quarters, she's got a much better life than like 90% of the rest of the people in this post-apocalypse. Seriously, in every other location we've seen in this series so far, they were running and failing structures with hardly any sustainable living space. In comparison, Abby has a luxury living space, a library with hundreds of books, high-quality food, and a gym. A fucking gym.
Nie, w sumie, kurwa, a wyobraźcie sobie, jakby nam przedstawili historię Davida, tego Davida, który chciał zgłosić Ellie. Jakbyśmy poznali jego perspektywę, nie? Że on jest taki dobry dla swoich ludzi, a co Ellie źli, pozabijali jego ludzi i my mamy mu współczuć z tego powodu. Kurwa, wyobraźcie sobie coś takiego? Gralibyśmy tym Davidem zamiast Abby? Ja pierdolę.
In a world where everyone is struggling for survival, Abby and her people are living incredibly
Ale nie, chwila, David jest facetem, no to on jest gnojem, tak? No ale Abby kobieta, no to wiadomo, mamy jej współczuć.
privileged lives. Why should I feel bad for her? She's got it better than the rest of the human race. And her campaign is just really boring to sit through. For the entire 5-hour experience, we never learn anything more about Abby as a character, and her story is completely detached from the revenge plot for this shitty faction war. Her personality is as bland as on buttered toast, and so many of the characters she interacts with are dismissed as quickly as they're introduced. Let me tell you, did you really give a shit about what's-his-face or whoever this broad was like you cared about Tommy or Tess? Did you really give a shit about Mel and Owen in the same way you cared about Sam and Henry? The story never puts time into developing any of these characters, so they're just cannon fodder for Ellie to kill and aggress Abby. And even after watching all her friends
Znaczy, ja trochę, jeśli mam być ser, Owena tak minimalnie lubiłem, wydawał mi się spoko, ale na mele miałem wyjebane i dlatego miałem wyjebane w to, że Owen ją zdradza. Ale tak poza tym, to brak sympatii do tych postaci. Jakichkolwiek.
I still don't care because they continue to make her an incredibly unlikable character. When the time comes for her to battle against Ellie and she gets attacked by Dina, she's told directly by Ellie that she's pregnant and had nothing to do with the deaths of her comrades. And then, after being told that Dina had nothing to do with Ellie's revenge and that she's pregnant, she actually threatens to slit her throat. And not only is she threatening to slit her throat, she was going to take pleasure in doing it specifically to spite Ellie. That's despicable. Abby is an actually despicable person, and she doesn't even stop on her own accord. She only doesn't go through with it because Lev told her no. This is why the game trying to get you.
Znaczy ona to sobie będzie tłumaczyła w ten sposób, że Ellie zabiła Mel w ciąży, no to ona zrobi to samo z Diną. Kurwa, ja pierdolę. To jest chore, to jest kurwa chore. W ogóle zacznijmy od tego, że ani jedna, ani druga nie powinna być w ciąży, bo to jest kurwa pojebane, że one są w stanie sobie biegać po dachach, będąc w ciąży.
To sympathize with Abby doesn't work. She's portrayed as highly sadistic, showing a willingness to repeatedly kill innocent people, and yet the game is still trying to send the message that she's sane. She's just as bloodthirsty and vicious as, if not more so, than Ellie, and they still want you to see her as the good guy. So aside from being unrelatable for having a crappy motivation and personality,
Jak dla mnie Ellie jest gorsza od Abby, gdy mówimy o tym, ile złego wyrzuciłem, no ale Abby jest ta spierdolnięta.
in outrageous design, she's not even sympathetic on any conceivable level. She's not even morally gray. She's a psychotic nutcase, and the game presents this in a way that's impossible to ignore. They tried characterizing her as sane during her half of the campaign, so she clearly has an understanding
Zobaczcie, Sara. Różnica między Abby, Ellie oraz Aishi. Aishi jest Sara. Abby i Ellie nie są.
of what's right and wrong. And here she is, threatening to slit a pregnant woman's throat and taking solace in doing it. I don't give a fuck if you have a tragic backstory. That is evil and an irredeemable act. Ellie killing a pregnant woman was horrifying, even though it was clearly just an excuse for Neil to demonize her, but she wasn't aware of the pregnancy. And after she sees it, she starts hyperventilating, throwing up, and her hearing fades out. She was clearly horrified and shows
No to ktoś coś tam mówił o tym, że nie obchodzi go to, że Abby ma tragiczną historię, ale Abby nawet nie ma tragicznej historii, no. Co straciła ojca? To, kurwa, nie pierdolę. Muza też straciła matkę z Dacy. Muza straciła matkę z klubu Wings. Glimmer straciła matkę w Shizę i Księcia Kakmocy. Żadna z nich nie zamierzała dopytać się z Dugzecy. A to no Glimmer zrobiła coś złego, ale myślała, że robi coś dobrego. Za bardzo się daleko posunęła w swoich działaniach, lecz no nie chciała zrobić nic złego. Natomiast Muza, Muza była na tyle perfidna, żeby Rivena tam zdradzać, ale żeby chcieć zdradzić Rivena, tyle, że no poza tym no to niczego nie zrobiła. Poza tym, że no bywała wredna i wkurzająca.
sign of immediate regret. Do you really think that Abby would have felt the same way if Lev didn't stop her from slitting Dina's throat? Well, considering the satisfying tone when she says good, I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Abby is objectively heinous and potentially evil. Her actions are completely irredeemable to the point that Even after seeing her side of the story, we don't care. Her daily life, her friends, and her father don't matter because she has no good qualities. This is a character that we want to see the main protagonist defeat. Someone who by all means is not somebody that the audience should side with. And to see the game go out of its way to glorify her as the just character, while demonizing the protagonist from the first game that we actually care about is absolutely...
No niektórzy nie będą chcieli, żeby Abby została pokonana, bo co, bo Abby jest tym, bo Abby jest przyjazna osobą trans, tak? Bo Abby pokazuje się kobiecą. Kurwa, ja pierdolę.
horrible. You remember how I said earlier that the story doesn't work as a cycle of revenge plot because the story is really biased in favor of Abby? That's the feeling that you get throughout the whole time that you're playing as her, and even during the game's prologue. Abby's portion of the game was made specifically for people who disagree with Joel's decision at the end of the first game. It acts in a morally absolute way by killing him slowly and horribly in front of Ellie, and then turning Ellie into the villain for wanting to avenge his death. And it actively goes against the theme of the first game because it doesn't allow you to come to your own conclusions about Joel's decision. Even if you want to make the argument that there's two sides to every story, Abby didn't bother to learn Joel's, or even Ellie's. She just straight up kills Joel without hesitation, and then threatens to slit the throat of someone who had nothing to do with anything just to get back at Ellie. All of this put together just turns Abby into a huge Mary Sue. She's the morally just character whose side we're supposed to see and root for, while Ellie gets turned into the villain. She's bigger and stronger than Ellie, having the same survival skills with practically no flaws. And she's justified in killing Joel and getting her revenge, while Ellie isn't. She gets to play as both the aggressor and the victim in this revenge story with no strings attached. Why? Because she has a sad backstory that's supposed to make her complex? That just makes it more emotionally manipulative. And that's the problem. Abby's campaign is so painfully manipulative, using every possible cheap and artificial tactic that it can muster, instead of actual characterization to get us to side with Abby instead of Ellie. Still don't believe me? Take a look at this footage of Ellie killing Abby's dog and Abby and her dad saving that zebra back to back. Ellie kills animals in her campaign, but Abby and her father save animals. Doesn't that make you want to side with Abby? Doesn't that make her sympathetic after she tried to slit a pregnant woman's throat? Of course it doesn't. Even if they wanted to do the whole dead parent being the hero's motivation thing, it's...
No właśnie, tutaj fajna mowa o tym, jak Abby jest faworyzowana w tej grze i jak jest przedstawiana, tak próbuje być przedstawiana jako ta lepsza, jako ta dobra, jako ta fajna, no ale na szczęście tacy ludzie jak on i tacy ludzie jak ja są na tyle mądrzy, żeby nie dać się ogłupić, żeby nie dać się oszukać. Ja powiem tak, Ellie jest pierdolnięta. Ja sam Ellie nienawidzę, ale Abby jest również zła, obydwie są złe.
Still doesn't work because they did nothing with it. In The Lion King, Mufasa didn't die just for the hell of it. He had a properly established relationship with his son, teaching him about the responsibilities of being a leader and ruling over a kingdom. His death serves an organic purpose in the story that supports the lesson that Simba has to learn by the end of the film. Abby's father dies just to give Neil Druckmann an excuse to kill off Joel, and his screen time is so short-lived that we don't get a chance to establish a connection with him, and we don't get to see why his relationship with Abby is supposed to be important. Both characters go through some really shitty stuff, but it's made very apparent which one is less sympathetic and which one the story is being biased towards. It's like they took the grounded setting established in the first game and placed Abby in it specifically to break the rules, and it's for these reasons that she's already become one of the most hated video game characters of all time in such a short amount of time. Nothing about her is salvageable because her very existence was made for the purpose of spiting fans.
Nawet bardziej znienawidzono niż Majka. Gdyby tylko nie pewne Polacki, które stają w obronie Abby.
Of the first game. She's nothing but a projection for Neil Druckmann's hatred for Joel in this game. Hell, look at this box art for the game's special edition. Joel isn't even on the fucking cover. But do you know who is? Abby, the
No to jest skóra całkowity brak szacunku.
piece of shit that nobody asked for or gives a shit about that was shoved in the very last minute to meet some kind of messed up agenda. Even the way Abby lets them live, which is supposed to be an act of mercy, just feels forced. She literally murdered her way across the country, destroying everything in her path, and yet she lets these two live because of plot protection. It's so obvious that she's just gonna come back later to finish the job, so why are you letting her live? This is such novice writing material, and to see it come from such a highly anticipated AAA title is embarrassing. And maybe, just maybe, all of this stupid shit might not have been so bad. I dare even say it might have been worth it had the ending not been the biggest fuck you that I've ever seen in a video game. I'm not even kidding, it's worse than Mass Effect 3.
Oj tak,
So here's how it goes.
teraz
Tommy and Marlene get divorced after losing his
totalna tragedia.
because, yeah, this game wasn't depressing enough, so you might as well take away Tommy's happy ending as well. He tells Ellie where to find Abby, and later that night she
No
decides
też to zrobili z Tommy, to jest kurwa masakra, nie? Tak potraktować Tomiego, to jest żenada, to jest kurwa żenada, żeby tak Tomiego potraktować. Teraz mi bardzo go szkoda. W ogóle ciekawostka, Tommy to jest jedyny męski charakter z tych ważniejszych, który przeżył, który żyje. Zaraz to was dwa. Ale też, no co, nikt go nie chce, jest całkowicie sam. To jest kurwa pokazanie tego, jak Naughty Dog gnoją facetów w The Last of Us 2. Ale dobra, wiecie co, ja sobie w tym momencie zakończę ten odcinek, bo nie wiem jak długo mi to jeszcze zajmie. Nie wiem co się wyrobię w ogóle z tym filmem, dlatego dalej są część tego filmu skomentuję sobie w drugiej części. Jak sami widzicie, no gość mądrze gada, no każdy kto jest na tyle mądry, żeby dać sobie sprawę z tego, że The Last of Us 2 to jest ścierwo, zrozumie to mam nadzieję. Ja na chwilę to kończę, to będzie na tyle, na razie.